Okay, so today let's talk about red roof floaters and how to care for them. So these plants are probably one of my favorite floating plants, as they not only have a amazing color but also their roots. As you can see, the rooting system down here, it's not very long compared to something like water lettuce right here. You see how the roots like super duper long. Yeah, this means wherever, if you have it in your aquascape, the roots are most likely going to cover a lot of the light, and you gotta routinely trim them, otherwise they're gonna take over. Okay, just like this tank right here, you see how the water lettuce, the roots, they actually come down super low, just like that. Since it comes down that low, it's like the size of my hand. A lot of the plants underneath, as you can see, it's almost shaded in this area, but in this area is super bright. So that's one of the downsides of other floating plants. Not only does water lettuce does this, also frogbit also does this too. Yeah, so let's talk about introducing enchantedgrow.com. We carry only the highest quality of plants with a full aquatic section and terrestrial plants coming soon in the future. Customer satisfaction being our #1 priority, we have 100% live arrival or your money back. We have mastered shipping live aquatics with over 500 sales on eBay. Please don't hesitate if you guys have any questions, and go get your plants today at enchantedgrow.com. Red roof floaters. So, good thing about these plants are, they're actually pretty beginner friendly. They're very easy to grow. Red roof floaters, I found the most success without too much flow. As you can see in this tank, there's actually no filter. It's a no filter system. Let me turn down there. Now you can see the tank a little bit better, but then the top is super bright. But as you can see, this tank is a no filter system, and these are nice and red. This light isn't even that strong. It's just the stock light that came with the tank. Okay, so coming back over here. So red roof floaters, there's actually two different types. There's one that's super duper red. There's also another type that's a little bit more on the lavender side. The super duper red ones, the nicest, they're immediately they contrast very well with the other plants to the side. But with the lavender ones, as you can see, there's actually little flowers. Let me try to zoom in on it. But yeah, there's actually little flowers right there, which is pretty neat. Also the color I found, that's pretty nice, but it does not contrast as well compared to the red ones. That does stand out. Okay, so talking about water flow, going back to earlier. As you can see in this tank, I do have a filter on this one. However, the water flow is blocked by the water lettuce because of their long roots, and down here, there's some type of Java moss carpet that's also slowing the water flow down. So as you can see, there isn't much surface agitation, which is what you want. If the surface is moving a lot, then what's gonna happen is this. Certain part of the leaves, such as right over here, or right over here, is gonna start to sink. There's some over here in this tank too, which I don't have a filter, but I'm gonna say why in a second. These are, some of the leaves on these are dying. So what happens is when you have surface agitation, the water, it gets on top of the leaves, and then if the leaves can't stay on top of the water, what ends up happening is they start to rot and start to gain a lot of weight. When they gain weight, they start to sink, just like this. So these leaves are no good anymore. They won't grow too well, but they will come back to life and they will have new growth. It's just these eventually, for the ones that do sink, just like these, they will eventually melt, but it's fine, don't worry. On the side, they're gonna end up growing new leaves, just like this. What's important is you don't want your entire plant to be fully under, because this means the plant is most likely gonna die. So #1, no surface agitation. In this tank, almost nothing's moving on top. Everything's nice and still. In this tank too, no filter system, everything's super still. Okay, so that's #1. #2, let's talk about lighting. Well, lighting, various lighting works. I found the more strong the lighting is, the better they grow. This tank is just the normal aquarium light, and they seem to grow the floaters just fine. Over here, it's just another light from Amazon, and as you can see in the bottom, it's not the absolute brightest, but still, they grow these floaters very nicely. Down here, this is actually a stock light from Walmart. It was only $10, and I found these actually grow it even better. But this one's like super strong. As you can see, it lights up the entire tank. So yeah, these light, definitely nice. So I found out the stronger the light, the better they grow. The less intense the light is, the slower they grow. So this tank probably grows the slowest, then comes this one, and previously when I had it down here, it was growing really fast down here. Okay, now let's talk about how do you get these plants to become the absolute reddest. As you can see, a lot of these are pretty green, and there's even some that's sinking down. The reason why is because this light is probably the weakest out of all of them. There's no spectrum, it's just fully white, and it's just not as bright as the other ones. That's the reason why a lot of these are greener. So the plants that I sell in my shop, enchantedgrow.com, our red root floaters are actually the highest quality. So eventually, under high light, all of them will become the super bright, vibrant red and purple. So once you get your plants, most likely they're gonna look like this. Or maybe even some of them might be a little bit green. But don't worry, all you have to do is just blast them with some intense light and they will become super duper red. And not only is the top red, the roots in the bottom is also gonna become super red, as you can see down here, which is quite nice. So yeah, that's how you get the red root floaters to its reddest. You just have to blast it with super strong and intense light. Okay, as for how pond plants go, I have this set up outdoors, this tub right here. As you can see, there is a lot of red floaters. Let me actually turn this up so you guys can see a little bit more detailed. Hopefully the gardeners aren't too loud. But as you can see over here, the red floaters, they're nice and red, maybe a little bit on the orange side, which is good. They all look super healthy, a lot of new growth of its leaves. So these actually do very great outdoors, especially in the summertime. However, you do not want to blast out too much light. The summer, the heat is way too hot. It's gonna end up crumpling the leaves, which let me see if I can find a couple. Okay, not at a moment, but sometimes if the light's too strong, these are gonna start shrinking and then they would die eventually. Let's see. Okay, they're getting louder, so I'm just gonna quickly finish doing what I was saying. But yeah, these are the ones that I brought from inside. As you can see, they're a little bit darker and more full. These over here are just growing a lot. They're just growing like crazy. So yeah, red floaters, definitely great outdoors, especially during the summertime. Wintertime, you guys might want to take them in, because what ends up happening is it becomes way too cold and the leaves also die. So better chances of surviving during the summer. Wintertime, you might want to take them in. So let's quickly summarize what we have talked about today. So number one, red floaters, they do not like a lot of flow. So it's like right here, you want everything to be nice and still. If you have a strong filter, just make sure you place the red floaters in a place where it gets highlight, also where the flow is blocked and there isn't too much surface agitation. Okay, number two is you want a super strong light for these guys. With an indoor tank, nice thing is these also shade the plants underneath, so you need a higher light for not only the plants underneath, but also to get that super red color out of them, just like this one right here. Okay, if your red root floaters are looking a little bit green, just like these ones, it just means you would need a stronger light. The light is not strong enough for it to become fully red like this. Then we talked about how you don't need an extremely expensive light. The stock light from Walmart, $10, work perfectly fine. And with red root floaters, there's two different types. There's a lavender type and there's a super red type. If your leaves start to look like this, it probably means that there's too much surface agitation, or what actually happens is the plants, they actually, when they grow so dense, they actually end up covering each other, pushing the old leaves down into the water as the new leaves grow out. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you separate them once they grow this dense, just like this. So like this one right here. In the middle, there's probably a couple that are submerged. So what you want to do is you want to start pulling them apart, which I don't know if I could do it one-handed, but I'll try. Yeah, just like that. Just want to pull them apart, and that's gonna save. You see how these leaves were about to start turning down? Yeah, then you can save those leaves. And last but not least, these grow perfectly nicely in outdoor tubs and ponds. Just make sure it's during the summertime and the water's nice and warm. You could probably do it in the wintertime too, but make sure your pond is heated and make sure they don't get too much light so they have partial shade. Comment down your experience with red root floaters, and if you guys don't have it yet and still considering it, go to my shop, enchantedgrow.com, to get these amazing color floaters. Comment down below if you have any other questions. Like, subscribe, and more plant species videos will come out soon.